Okay, I'm Ijan English from Group 2, and our group will to continue the material for today, Chapter 5, English Syntax. So will be the first version, will be the explanation, the material. First material is word classes and phrase. Word classes and phrase are very closely linked. First of all, a phrase is named after the word class that act as head of the press. A head is a word upon which everything in a press is centered. In the press such as full of hope. For instance, all part of the press are associated with the adjective full. Therefore, construction is called the adjective press. Likewise, is in the press might have whether everything is associated with the lexical verb method, making this a verb press. In fact, word class and press are closely linked. There are cases where a single word can constitute and press in the syntaxicity is the mother invention is both a noun and a noun a press. It is a noun as will be demonstrated in the section immediately below because it contains the suffix "it", one of series of suffixes that occurs of noun. This noun phrase because it is functioning as subject of the sentence one key function of noun. Phrase that will be described more fully in a later section on the clauses function. To describe both word classes and phrase, the discussion in this section will focus on two the more important phrase type. First, noun phrase and verb phrase. And first, noun phrase. All noun phrase (NPS) are centered on either an head noun or pronouns, or more on pronoun later in the section. One key characteristic of noun is that most exhibits number they have a singular or plural form often marked in writing by orthographic. In this page we will be demonstrating in the chapter 7 they are actually the different pronouns of is. However, okay, let's see table 5 and 1 illustrate not all noun fit into the pattern. Nouns have traditionally been distinguished. We can think of a table as either a single one or plural more than one entity. Although most common nouns take the regular plural ending, some like ox in take an irregular plural ending oxen. There exhibit a change in vowel going from singular to. You can see the example to the table 5 and 1. The plural singular goes for instance become plural goes. Typically, the example in the category prefers from going back to Old English, and indeed a number nouns during in area. The vowel change resulting from the process of umlauting were common. Number can also be marked by first singular and plural from borrowed from the other language. The endings on singular criterion and plural criteria for instance were borrowed into English from ancient Greek. Sometimes borrowing of these types will have both regular and irregular form. Concerto was borrowed into English from Italia can either be plural seats with English used as contrastos or Italia use concerti. No over plural marker it at all. E bla it's one deer, two deer. Occasionally, noun in this category will have a regular plural from two. For instance, biologists often use fishes rather than fish. No singular, but only a plural form sister, but no sister. They form a generally form of object having two parts suck the two blades on the pair of scissors on or the two legs on the pair pen. They are also non-pronoun, which makes two distinction between a singular or plural form. Thus, it is possible to talk or furniture which would include a group of items such as charges, beds, etc., but not furnitures. Some nouns have both count and non-count form in the first example below. Water is a noun. Water is a non-count noun since it is being used to describe a liquid uncount quantity. In the next example, however, because weather refer to more than one lake on river, it is being used as a count noun in the context. Noun can also be marked by various suffixes. For instance, the suffix "ion" can be added to verb to form an abstract noun called a nominalization, create to creation, or facet to fascination. Other nouns like include er or which are added to verb to create noun for someone who does something at with. Other non-participatory those that are animate can take possessive as the man's watch, the teacher's books. Personal pronouns in English, which can also serve as the head of a noun phrase, make a distinction not found on nouns. Let's see table 5 and 2. List the various forms that personal pronouns take in English. This table have first person, second person, and third person. Like nouns, most personal pronouns, or with the exception of you, are marked for number, singular, she, plural, them. The pronoun you is quite anomalous in this regard. It appears to be marked only for plural number because its way always takes a plural verb. The example, and you are Mr. MC Douglas. However, in the example above, you is clearly being directed toward a single individual. In early periods, English did have both a singular and plural form, but over time the distinction was lost to explicitly prolix you in modern English. It is only possible to use the circumcision such as of you. Plural form of you do exist, but in the restricted context, you are ye plus all in southern variations of American English, and yours in some non-standard varieties of English. Pronoun makes many more distinction than nouns. Pronoun have the pronoun have three person. First person are directed toward the speaker or reader. Second person pronoun toward the address, and the third person pronoun to someone or something being discussed. First and third person pronoun have subjective and objective from the second person pronoun. The you does not. The subjective form are used when the pronouns the functioning and subject of a cloud. I like pizza. See George Daly. The objective form are used when the pronouns are functioning as object in a clause or as object of preposition. My mother called us. The burden of proof is on them. All pronouns have reflexive and possessive form. Reflexive pronouns refer back to a course co-referential noun or pronoun, as in the children amongst themselves, or we must remind ourselves. Possessive from course 8 before head noun in the noun phrase. My book, your watch, or head or noun phrase. That cookie is mine. Those glasses must be hers. Indefinitive pronouns suck someone or someone. Of course, only in the third person have only a single form, unlike first and second person pronouns. They do not change form in the subject or object position. The internal section of noun phrase. While it's possible a pronoun phrase contain only head noun pronoun, other prom classes can optionally occur before or over the head noun. The diagram below, see, first determinative phrase. Okay, the first position in the noun phrase contains a class of words called determinative, which are part of determinative phrase. Their words include the article like a, an, and the. Demonstrative, this, that, this, those. Indefinite pronouns, all, every, most, many. And cardinal number, 1, 2, 3. The second position, if the noun phrase contains a determinative phrase, is copied by adjective, which immediately precedes the head noun. Like non-adjective can sometimes be identified by the suffix that they contain. Degree adjective, adjective that can be measured on a scale that are one or two syllables in length will have comparative, comparative and superlative form ending in the respectively. Uh, the example, er and es in the word small, smaller, smallest. Adjective also sometimes uh, adjective also sometimes have suffix found only on adjective such as ec, like electric, fantastic. In the example in the diagram above, adjective phrase consists of a single adjective. However, it's also possible for adjective phrase to contain more than one adjective, as is the case with quick and just, praising, victory, and example below. The example is, it was in the U.S. government interest to present this strong and quick and just victory. The final, the final position in the noun phrase which follow the head noun can optionally contain either prepositional phrase or relative clause, or type of clause discussed in a later section on subordinated clause. Unlike noun and adjective, prepositions have no particular form, no suffix. For instance, the unique marks a word preposition. Uh, in the first example below, the preposition in is followed by clause beginning with keeping. In the second example of is followed by clause beginning with what. The example is, it's play a key role in keeping city streets on the move, and is even the object of the best modern designer decide. And the second example, so we have this idea of how they are closing and opening. The semantic classes in which preposition can be classified are quite complex to the more basic meaning that preposition express the time and location. Is like in on the high specious location. In the other context, however, it can express time on time or on my birthday. Other preposition can likewise express both time and space. Is like in a moment, in a moment. However, while these meaning are easy to discern, other are more difficult for distant the preposition in preceding, keeping, city, street, and street on the move. In the above example has to know easily. You can see table 5 and 3 identifiable meaning. You can see the table, the example. Verb preposition combination are so common in English that they are sometimes referred to phrasal verb or preposition verb. One difference between the two constructions is that while the preposition can move a phrasal verb, the example is I have got to take down all the wallpaper. Take all down. She looked at Ijan, who had secured notebook and pencil. She looked. Embedding and recursion. The causes of a prepositional phrase within a noun phrase is one example of more general phenom- phenomena in the syntax. Embedding in the inclusion of one structure within another structure. The noun phrase below contain multi instance of embedding. The head noun of the phrase act is followed by an embedded prepositional phrase beginning with of. This prepositional phrase in turn contain in embedded noun phrase successful mob violence. Embedded in the head of this noun phrase mob violence is another prepositional phrase beginning with against whose objects the auxiliary contain an additional embedded prepositional phrase of the chord and nobility. The process of repeatedly embedding similar structure in other structure is known as recursion. In theory, recursion is potentially endless. Signs in example such as the one above. One could embed prepositional phrase in noun phrase ad infinitum. In practice, however, there are obvious limitations on embedding. Excessive embedding leads to lengthy constructions that are not just stylistically awkward but difficult to intend.